Well, turning now to the Middle East and the deadliest day for media in a year of hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. Lebanon's health ministry says at least 3 journalists were killed today by Israeli strikes in the country's south. As you see there, images showing a charred vehicle marked with press among the destruction. The strike reportedly hit a compound housing more than a dozen journalists from different agencies. Lebanon's information minister accused Israel of intentionally targeting the journalists in the attack, which he described as a war crime. Israel's military has yet to comment, but has previously denied targeting journalists. Amid new and intensifying Israeli strikes, Lebanon says 2 of its eastern border crossings with Syria are now unusable and shut down due to damage. Crystal Gamansing is tracking the developments from our London bureau and joins us now. So, Crystal, what more do we know about the deaths of these journalists?
Well, this strike happened in the south, in the community of Hasbaya, and we're being told that it was 2 cameramen as well as an engineer. Al-Mayadeen says one of their cameramen and engineer was killed. That they put out a statement earlier today. There was also a cameraman from the outlet Al-Manar that was killed in that strike. Now, the images of that location in southern Lebanon, obviously heavy destruction. Multiple cars there were hit. You mentioned seeing that vehicle with the word press. There was also images of flak jackets and helmets in that destruction. Lebanon's information minister has also said that it wasn't just, those 2 networks that were staying at what's being described as a guest house in the south, that there were 6 different media outlets staying at that guest house, according to Lebanon's information minister. As you mentioned, we haven't heard anything from Israeli officials as of yet. Obviously, deep concern. Journalists should be protected, not meant to be caught up in this. The network saying that those journalists working in southern Lebanon were essential to covering the war, and they are calling for an explanation as to what happened. Now, we are also seeing strikes and continued operations not only across Lebanon, but in Gaza as well. And let's turn to that part of this overall conflict. There have been strikes not only in the north, but also in the south. Jabalia continues to be one of those areas hit. We saw a school that is now sheltering people hit. Also reportedly a very deadly strike in Khan Yunis in the south. Multiple buildings reportedly hit. Gaza health officials, of course, those are Hamas health officials, saying that more than 30 people killed in the Khan Yunis attack. So a number of strikes across the Gaza Strip today, and we are seeing that, as we've seen before, that continued operation. We did hear from Israeli officials, the chief of the Israeli military, saying that at least in Jabalia, it is looking like, they are succeeding in trying to address and deal with a number of those Hamas militants that they are continuously coming up against.
Crystal, violence in Gaza continues as ceasefire talks are expected to restart this weekend in Doha. And we know U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in talks with Arab leaders today. So where do things stand in terms of peace talks?
Yeah, there's a desperate continuation of those diplomatic efforts. Antony Blinken here in the UK holding talks with the Lebanese caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati. Those talks ongoing. He's just wrapped up sort of a diplomatic tour of the Middle East. We have heard Hamas officials giving a statement to the news agency AFP saying that really their position hasn't changed, that they are willing to sit down and have discussions about a ceasefire, but they continue to say that Israel has to stop all hostilities across Gaza and they have to withdraw from those locations and allow people to go home. Obviously, from the point of the Israelis and the Americans and so many Western leaders, they want to see those hostages released as a part of any conversation when it comes to the potential ceasefire talks. So those ongoing with the U.S. Secretary of State here in London right now.
Okay. Crystal, thank you. That is Crystal Gamansing in London.